Red, black, red, black, and green. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Yeah, red, black, and green. Yeah, and you know what I mean? Yeah, cause red is for the blood shared by my ancestors. Ashe. Green is for the land that they gave us. Thank you, God, for blessing us with it. Black is for the skin. Black is for the people, original people. Black fist in the air, black power. Ashe to the ancestors past. And they did their best. So now we time to dash. We trying to get on the next level. Take it to the...
Brother. I want to thank the pastor. Give a round of applause to the pastor. It's been 5 long years, Oakland. 2016 was the last time I was with you all over at the Black Repertoire Theater. A beautiful little place. But it was so small that we had to do 2 lectures and still had to turn a couple hundred away. So I made it a point to get back out here, and I want to thank Sister Tisha for helping me find this beautiful church. Give Sister Tisha a hand as well.
Sister Tisha!
Because I didn't intend to wait 5 years, but it was so tough finding a place. Because when you mentioned Dr. Umar's name, all kinds of imaginary demons popped up in people's minds about what I'm saying and what I'm about and this and that and so forth and so on. And unfortunately, we live in a world where nobody lets the truth get in the way of a good lie. People can make an honest decision. I'm here because obviously we released a new book, Black Parent Advocate, for all the work we're doing with America's public and charter schools. I wrote that book as a follow-up to the first one because I saw that many parents still, understandably so, needed some more information, some more strategies, some more tactics they can use to fight against the school system. And so the book is divided into 2 parts. The first half of the book is what we call correspondence. So this is how do you respond to the school if they want to medicate your child? How do you respond to the school if they want to special educate your child? How do you respond to the school if they want your baby evaluated for conduct disorder, or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or oppositional defiant disorder? How do you respond to the school if you've been asking for speech and language evaluation and they haven't done it yet? Or what about a child who needs special ed, but isn't getting a quality special ed service? How do you address that? Or what if you disagree with the psychological evaluation report and you want to get a second opinion? How do you ask for that? So the first half of the book is sample letters. All you have to do is reproduce the letter, change your information, and give it to the school. And so before each letter, I talk about the problem. So for example, if the school says, Raheem can't come back unless he's on some kind of medication. We cannot have this son back in this Oakland charter school because the boy is just uncontrollable. He needs meds, no school. The problem with that, it's illegal to say it. In the United States of America, you cannot deny a child a public or charter school education because you think they need meds. In fact, it's illegal for the principal or the teacher to tell you your child needs meds. So in my book, I give you a letter that you can reproduce and give to the school and stop them from harassing you about evaluations and medication. Okay? What I need parents to understand, and we are all parents, there's nothing worse than hearing an elder say, all my children are grown. So you're telling me there's no black babies in Oakland? Because if there's still children in Oakland, all your children ain't grown. Okay? Or hearing a young person say, my baby already went off to college. She's a lawyer, she's a doctor now, I don't need your book. What about the rest of them? See, in African culture, the children don't belong to you. They belong to the village. This is a big mistake we make in Black America. Those are my kids. No, they're not. They're your responsibility, but they belong to the village. See, this is why there's no such thing as what happens in my house is my personal business. No, it's not. Because if your daughter is being sexually abused in your house, she'll grow up and could potentially end up being promiscuous in our community. If your son is being physically abused in a house, he may grow up to be violent in the community. Your son can end up taking my son's life because of all that pain and anger you put in him by abusing him every day, and he finally lets it out on an innocent brother in the community. So there's no such thing as my business when it comes to children.
Right.
It's our business.
Exactly.
Because if you don't raise your son right, he ends up breaking my daughter's heart. And now we go on the war for something we could have took care of when they were children. But you thought it was your personal business. And what kills me about Black people talking about how it's all my business, but we don't even have no businesses to attend to in the first place. So parents, the first half of the book is the letters, but you want to read the background on that topic. Don't just reproduce the letter Dr. Umar gave you. I need you to read the 2 or 3 pages on the background on that topic. So for example, if the school wants to know why your child isn't standing for the pledge, you have to let the school know that my child's First Amendment constitutional rights gives him the prerogative to not stand or recite the pledge. Notice I said not stand. No, I'm not telling you to tell your child to sit. You may have them stand out of respect. But legally, your child doesn't even have to stand for the pledge at school. Okay? And what I need y'all to understand that if it is a right, you don't have to explain it. I need you to stop explaining rights. The teacher calls you up. I noticed that Rashida didn't stand for the pledge. Could you explain why? I could. But because it's my right, I'm not going to.
Exactly.
I need y'all to understand that. California, you have to understand that. White folks never explain their rights.
They just say it's my right.
And neither should you.
Exactly.
You never have to explain why you're not doing something if it's a right.
Exactly.
So let's talk about some rules that y'all need to know for the schools. And you're going to read all this in the book and much more, but I want to put it out there in front of you today. Things that I need you to pay attention to. But before I do, let me talk about the second half of the book. So the first half is correspondence, how you respond to the school. Because you have to know how to respond in order to be a responsible parent. Part of being a responsible parent is knowing how to respond to the school. And you should always respond in written form. Parents are overly dependent on those phone conversations. Phone conversations that can't be proven in court. Phone conversations that can't be proven at the due process hearing. Phone conversations that can't be proven at the school board meeting. What you say on the phone or what you say face to face is only as good as you can prove. This is why I always tell you to do what after you have a conversation.
Send an
Summarize it in a letter or email and send it out within 24 hours. Summarize everything they say. I met you at 2 o'clock outside of my son's school, and you said that he was having a fabulous week. You only had to talk to him one time. I just wanted to make sure that's what you told me. And you probably say, Dr. Umar, why do I need to summarize something as frivolous as that? Because next month, the same teacher who praised him will be trying to condemn him.
Exactly.
And you have to remind her, on April the 2nd, you said you had a good week.
Right.
On April the 12th, you said you had a good week. On April the 17th, you said you had a good week. So how all of a sudden affects your child. And by contraindication, if you had no documentation, you'll never be able to save your child.
Exactly.
I don't want to hear what the teacher said. I want to see whether you summarized it on paper. Because if you summarize it and you send it to the teacher, if they do not clarify anything in your letter as being inaccurate, it's as good as gold in terms of the law. Because they have an obligation to correct any misunderstandings that you put in your letter. That's why you have to get into the habit of writing. Black parents are horrible documentarians. You guys are horrible. You're horrible in New York, you're horrible in Baltimore, you're horrible in DC, you're horrible in Milwaukee, you're horrible in Vegas, Oakland, LA, and Seattle. We do not keep good notes on our babies. And I know why we don't. You know why we don't? Because African people come from an oral culture that is based on the honor system. So I can verbally make a promise and you will honor it. It doesn't have to be on paper if you're African.
Right.
But if you are a Neanderthal,
talk about it. Talk about it.
The European has no oral honor system. He only believes in the written word. And the reason he believes in the written word over the oral word is because he can manipulate what is written so well that it'll end up looking like something totally different from what you orally agreed to.
Right.
And so as African people who believe in a verbal oral honor system, we have to now understand we live in a very deceptive and manipulative culture that only values the written word. And if that's what they value, you must learn how to operate from it. So in the second half of the book, it's called documentation. I teach you how to understand the IEP. Because a lot of you go to the IEP meetings and you sign them without reading them because you don't understand them.
Right.
So in the book, I go through each section. And so all you have to do the next time you get your child's IEP is open up my book to the IEP section and make sure every section is there. And then read my summary of what should be in the section and make sure it is completed in your child's IEP. The next time you get a psychological evaluation report, you can open up my book. What does Dr. Umar say about the psychological evaluation? What should be in each section? Are all the sections Dr. Umar listed in my child's report? And if I'm missing any section, I need to go ask the school where it's at. And how do I evaluate this section? Stop signing stuff because it's confusing. If it's confusing, you should not sign it.
Right.
But the schools in California depend on Negro parents to sign stuff they don't understand. The whole system is based on you signing stuff you don't understand.
And that's why I was in special ed.
I teach you how to understand the behavior intervention plan. What should be in a behavior intervention plan? What should be in a functional behavioral assessment? And I challenge all of you to read the book from cover to cover. Don't just go to the part you need. And the reason I want you to read the book cover to cover is because if you read the whole book, you're going to learn things you need in other sections that you think even apply to your child. So read the whole thing and then go to the section you need. And if you still have questions, you can always reach out to Dr. Umar. Now, with that being said, I want to give you 10 rules that you can use to deal with the schools. 10 rules you can use to deal with the schools. 10 commandments. Commandment number 1. We've already talked about it. Don't sign nothing you don't understand. And along with that, don't let the school make you think you have a timeline to turn it in. You don't have a timeline. Let me say that again. Parents don't have timelines. Schools have timelines.
Right.
So if they call you up and say, we got to get Raheem's IEP done, we only got 10 days, or the IEP is going to be out of compliance, we only got 30 days to get this done, can you please come and sign it today? No, I cannot. Well, we're going to be in trouble. No, you're going to be in trouble. I can't get in trouble for my child.
Exactly.
If you needed this sign today, I should have had it last week.
Exactly.
You have to teach the schools how to treat you. Some of you are not doing a good job teaching these schools in Oakland how to treat you. If they can call you up and they can come around and sign a paper without even reading it, they don't respect you or your child. You know what you tell them? I'm going to come get it. I'm going to take it home. I'm going to look it over. If I decide to sign it. If you'll get it in 3 days. Well, why can't you just read it down and sign it here? Because I don't sign anything unless I review it with his father. I don't sign anything unless I review it with his mother. I don't sign anything unless I review it with my parents. Never let the school think you all by yourself. Never let the school think you all by yourself. Because once they find out that you are an isolated single mom or dad, they will dump on your child. Never let them think you by yourself. Black woman, if you ain't got a man at home, they don't need to know that. Are you married? Yes. Tell them you got 2 husbands in your house. Tell them you polyandrous. I got 2 kings. And if they ask you why we never see him, tell them he's a long distance truck driver. He works during the daytime. I handle the school business. And so that brings me to number 2. Number 1, don't sign if you don't understand. Don't let them force you or rush you. Number 2, stop telling your personal business to school's teachers. Black mothers, you got a bad habit of trying to evoke sympathy from school staff. And you go into these meetings looking for them to care about you. The Neanderthals and the Negroes. And you think that if you tell them enough of your personal business, they'll start feeling sympathy for you. You fail to realize you're giving them the rope that they can use to hang you with if you don't do what they want you to do. Oh yes. Next thing you know, child services is coming to your house because you said you're not getting your son evaluated because you're not putting them on the door. And then they're going to say, remember you said you lived in your mother's basement for 6 weeks? Remember you told me that she was on Zoloft and other antidepressants because you was thinking about harming yourself? Well, what they got to do with my decision not to get my son evaluated for ADHD?
Right.
Nothing at all. But since you like running your big black mouth,
I'm going to use it against you.
they kept a running log of all of your counseling sessions with the 2nd grade teacher. So since you turned the teacher into your therapist, she kept a note of everything you said. And the minute you don't do what the school wants you to do, they try to get you investigated and get your kids taken away. Stop running your mouth. They don't need to know your son's filing in jail. They don't need to know you're going through a divorce. They don't need to know you're unemployed. They don't need to know you're on public assistance. They don't need to know you live with your mother. They don't need to know anything about your personal business. And if they ask you, tell them, how is this relevant for my child's education?
Right.
The school is not your friend. The teacher is the new police officer. And everything you say to that teacher can and will be used against your child. I work in schools. I see it happen every day. Sometimes I gotta pull mothers to the side. You talk too much. Why are you telling them? Well, you know, I just wanted them to know where I'm coming from. They know! You're black! We're all coming from the same set of circumstances. Shut up! Don't sign nothing unless you understand it. Don't make them rush you to sign. Don't tell your business. Number 3, don't go to no more school meetings open by yourself. I'm going to give your child to a private school, charter school, parochial school, independent school. Always take somebody with you. Black woman, find a brother or 2 who can go with you. You need some masculine energy to back you up a little bit. Black man, find you a sister or two who can go with you. You need some feminine energy to back you up a little bit, because when a black man goes into a meeting with his child's teacher, Neanderthal or Negro, if you don't go along with what they want you to do, and you start speaking forcefully in defense of your son, they will exaggerate your behavior and say you threaten them or you appear to get violent. And the next thing you know, you get a restraining order against you because you didn't want to put your son on mess because the white girl said, your voice got loud, and my back gave loud, and my heart got loud. And you had nobody there with you to testify that what the white woman accused you of never happened. Don't go alone. And black women, if you can't find you some strong black men that go with you, go to the corner, get some of them corner boys down there. Go get Mike and Tay with the white beaters and the tennis. Get about 2 or 3 weed boys and bring them into the IB. And you tell Mike when they're coming in, just stand still. I don't want you to talk. Just stand. And look as mean as you can look. And the minute these white folks start ganging up on me, I was going to bang the table hard one time and say, I'm not feeling this. There won't be no expulsion, there won't be no medication, there won't be no ADHD. Because white folks are scared of black men who ain't scared of them. White folks are scared of black men who ain't scared of them. Well, this is feeling aggressive in here. We have to call school security. Go ahead. Never go by yourself. I'm an educator. I would never go to a meeting about my daughter by myself because I know the white woman's number one strategy is try to get me out of character so she can get me banned from the school. They do it all the time. We gotta be smarter than that. And if you can't find no brother, sister, go to your girlfriends. Shanae, Shaquita, Shamanta. Bring the whole gospel choir. Tell them to start singing when they talk about ADHD. Have them crack a sick. Well, we didn't know you were bringing people with you. I didn't know you were either. And then you know what you do? They got 10 white folks for you, you got 10 black folks for them.
That's right.
They got 20 white folks for you, you got 20 black folks for them. And then when y'all all sit down, guess what you're going to do? Start taking the lunch out. We decided to have a lunch. We got greens. We got devil eggs. We got blueberry cobbler. You want some candy and cracker? You have to get them off your square. Why do they bring in 20 white folks for one black mother? One black mother going to see about a child in Oakland, about some special ed that we don't even have. We'll get to that in a minute. And for one black mother, you got the principal, the vice principal, the dean of students, the principal intern, the school counselor, the school nurse, the school psychologist, the homeschool person, the grade leader, the reading coach, the trash man, the bus driver, the basketball coach, the window washer, the traffic guard. 20 crackers and 2 Negroes for one black mother. Do you know why they do that? They want to intimidate you. They want you to feel so insecure about what you think you know about your child that you just go along for religion. Yeah. And I'm here to tell you today, black mothers and fathers, I'm an expert school psychologist, but I can't ever know more about your child than you do. Don't you ever relinquish authority over your baby. You know them more than the principal. You know them more than the dean. You know them more than the master specialist. You know them more than the counselor and the nurse. Stop letting white folks manipulate you psychologically into thinking that because they have a degree from UCLA, they're more expert in your child than you. Nobody is more expert in your child than you. And I also need you to understand something when you're in those meetings, or you're ready to sign the paper just to get away from these white folks. Remember this. You're the only person who has to live with the consequences of a bad decision. Next year, those white folks won't even remember your child. But you will have to live with the consequences of what you let them do to your child. Fight for your baby. And if you think you overmatched, did you know you can always say, I need to postpone this meeting? Well, we really need to make a decision today. I'm not making a decision. in charge. As an educator, I don't need your signature unless I'm doing something special for your child. I don't need your signature to send your child to the nurse. I don't need your signature to let your child go to recess. I don't need your signature to let your child go to class. You only need a signature if I'm going to subject your child to something that the other kids are not being subjected to. Whenever they need you to sign, it's because they're going to do something special for your child. Always go to the meetings with somebody. Number 4, if your child is 8 years old or younger, if your child is 8 years old or younger, please, please, please think twice about getting them evaluated by the psychologist, the school psychologist, or the clinical psychologist. And let me make sure you understand the difference between the two. I happen to be both. The school psychologist evaluates children in the school for special ed disabilities. The school psychologist evaluates kids for autism, emotional disturbance, intellectual disabilities, learning disabilities, which include reading, math, listening, speaking, or processing, deafness, blindness, hearing impairment, orthopedic impairment, multiple disabilities, other health impairments. There's 13 special ed disabilities. The school psychologist can only evaluate in the school for 13 different disabilities. Now, the clinical psychologist, who you go see at the clinic or the hospital or in private practice, they evaluate for more than 400 different mental illnesses. And those mental illnesses go from everything from schizophrenia to bipolar to depression to anxiety disorders to manic depressive disorders. That's the clinical psychologist. But I'm telling you, if your son or daughter is 8 years old or younger, the likelihood of them being misdiagnosed just quadrupled. And do you know why? There is no way I can prove that Princess is autistic. How old is she, Princess? 7. I can't prove she's autistic at 7. I might see some symptoms. I might notice she don't really interact with the other kids. I might notice when other kids come over to play with her, she acts like they're invisible. I might notice that she never likes to get her mother's attention by using her mouth. She always wants to use her fingers. But guess what? That could be autism, but it could be a hearing problem. It could be autism, but it could be social anxiety. It could be autism, but it could be selective mutism. It could be autism, but it could be a developmental delay. It could be autism, but it could be emotional trauma. Why do I want to rush to classify her with autism when autism doesn't have a cure? So she's going to be autistic at 9, 11, 13. So why not wait until we're sure? You know why the school doesn't want you to wait until we're sure? Because they get paid for the labels. Special education is a business. Special education is a racket. Special education is a hustle of making money off black kids you know you never taught in the first place. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. You really think they were special educating black kids in the Bay Area to help them? No. A special ed child in America is worth twice as much money as a regular ed child. Yeah. So back in Pennsylvania and Philadelphia, the regular kids get about $12,000 a year spent on their education. Once Dr. Umar says they have a speech and language impairment, or autism, or emotional disturbance, or reading disability, or orthopedic impairment, once I classify one of these babies with a special ed disability, their name goes into the computer. What's the state capital of California? Their name gets transferred to Sacramento, California State And by the end of the month, the school where your child was misdiagnosed gets a welfare check for that baby. The special ed kids are worth on average twice as much as the regulars.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, Doctor. In California, they spend about $15,000 for a regular kid. My child has an IMD, so what are you telling me? I'm telling you, your child's worth $30,000. Double your money, baby. Double your money, baby. And guess what? They don't get that extra $15,000 one time. What grade is your child in? Third? They got 9 more years of special ed. They get an extra $15,000 in the 4th grade, and an extra $15,000 in the 5th grade, and an extra $15,000 in the 6th grade. One black child in Oakland, California is worth more than $100,000 across their career. For one baby! How about 100?
Right.
How about 1,000?
Right.
Do we even know how many black kids are in special ed in Oakland schools?
Right.
I'm willing to bet you your special ed budget is probably $500 million. You know how many white folks is living nice and comfortable in the suburbs of Oakland because you decided to give them permission to give your baby a disability that they don't even have? Oh, this is the politics of the school to prison pipeline. They're turning black people into a permanent underclass with black parents' permission. Which is why I always say there's nothing worse than a black child who has a teacher who don't care and a parent who could care less. If you have a teacher who cares and a parent don't care, you can still win. If you got a parent that cares and a teacher that don't care, you can still win. But if you have a parent and a teacher that don't care, you can't win at all. What good is an education with a teacher who don't believe in your ability? And it is absolutely insulting to every black person who ever lived and struggled in this country for us to be a $2 trillion people still sending our kids to white folks to get an education. We should be ashamed of ourselves, brothers and sisters. So let me get this right. Black people in America are spending $30 billion a year on hair and beauty. $30 billion! But how many independent schools we got in Oakland? Black people in America are spending $800 million a year on chicken, turkey, beef, and pork. You damn Negroes! So you mean to tell me you can spend $800 million on an early death and cancer diagnosis? You're willing to finance your own mortality to the tune of $800 million? You know how many schools we can open up with $800 million on? Yeah. Or you're not going to sacrifice your chicken, turkey, beef, and pork? What about your $2 million on Nike every year? And I'm trying to find out why your child running around with an Air Jordan sneaker. He got a black man's name on his footwear, and a black man don't have a black woman on his arm.
Right. Right.
And I don't mean to upset none of my brothers in here, but I'm going to be absolutely honest with you. If your wife don't look like your mother, I ain't your brother. I just want to be honest with you. I just want to be honest with you. I just want to be honest with you.
Come on.
I just want to be honest with you.
Come on. Talk about it.
And it's not because I have a problem with the white woman. Any issue, or the Chinese, or the Arab, or the East Indian woman, it is not about being against her. It's about being for my own sister. That's what it's about.
Yes.
And have you black women noticed that whenever you come across a black man with a non-African woman on the street, he goes out of his way to not speak to the black woman coming up the street? Have you noticed that? He don't even see you.
Yeah.
He got to prove to Rebecca.
Yeah. Come on now. Come on now. Come on. Come on.
And I got a whole army of white women sliding to my DMs.
Man.
First thing, yeah, I'm married What do you want my inbox for? The white women are tired of me.
Man.
But I said a white woman, if the love is blind as you claim, why can't you show me a white woman married to a poor black man? If love is so blind, if you can't help who you fall in love with, where are the rich white women committed to a poor black man?
Right.
Because they ain't nothing blind about love. Nothing blind at all. Marriage is a financial contract.
It's a business. Hell yeah.
White folk have taken enough from us already.
Yep.
There is no greater act of treason and betrayal than for a black man who stands on the shoulders of black people who fought and died for your right to become that doctor, become that lawyer, become that business owner.
Right.
To stand on the shoulders of our ancestors and have the audacity to use African DNA to finance a white woman's retirement.
Wow.
We have to do better than that. He's a hate teacher. I'm not no hate teacher. You just hate the fact that I'm not cooling around like half the other black scholars.
Man. Man.
I still didn't know why Oprah Winfrey invited me over there. When can I sit on that couch? I'm going to tear her ass up. I'm waiting for that Oprah invite. I'm checking my inbox every day. There's Oprah. Oh, wow. He was on the Breakfast Club. He's not even a rapper. And he got more views than the rappers got. 3 million in 3 days. How?
Right.
Black folks is tired of their lives and they want the truth.
Exactly. Exactly.
The next thing parents need to be careful of. Let me say this 8 and under for a minute. 13 disabilities make up the world of special ed. 13. But there's 4 of them that they use to systematically undereducate black kids. Intellectual disability, emotional disturbance, other health impairment, the ADHD, and the reading disability. Most black kids in special ed in America are there for the reading disability. And you know why? 2 reasons. One is the fault of the school, the other is the fault of the parent. On the school side, they don't teach our kids how to read no more. Not the way we learn. We learn phonics.
Hooked on phonics.
They
Yeah.
don't teach phonics. Phonics means sound. When we were in school, those of you who grew up in the 70s and the 80s, when it was time to learn how to read, remember your teacher came in and she wrote the letter A on the board and she made the whole class repeat after her.
Yep.
A, and then she put the B on the board, B, and she put the C on the board, and then she put the A to B, O, and the A to C, By the time you was done your breakfast, thinking your throat was dry. But you can understand every sound from
Right.
every letter and
Right.
how they connected to all other letters in the alphabet.
Exactly.
They're not doing that in Oakland no more.
Exactly.
They have something called whole language. You know what they do now? They don't give your child reading words no more. Your child that came home with a reading word list in years. You know what your child came home with? A sight word list.
Right. Right. Right.
What's the difference between a reading word and a sight word?
They know.
Reading means you have to learn how to sound it
Out, right. So you say,
sight word means you have to learn how to sound it out.
You gotta remember it.
Identify it with
Right.
your eyeball
Right.
when you see it.
right.
So your children are now memorizing words.
Instead of
Where
reading
you
them.
and I learn how to read them.
Right.
And because they're no longer teaching phonics as a foundation for reading, the black child reading disability rate is going through the roof. Now that's the white folks' responsibility, but let me tell you about the niggers. You and here, if I went into half the homes represented in the sanctuary now, I'll bet you half of them do not have a dictionary anywhere in the house. don't have a thesaurus in your house. I bet you half of you don't have a complete set of encyclopedia A through Z anywhere in the house. And don't tell me you can't afford it. Because my mother bought my first set from the Goodwill for $20.
Yeah.
You can get a free set of encyclopedia on Craigslist. Don't tell me it's about money. It's not about money. It's about your investment in your child's education. And if you ain't got no books in your house, your child will be behind bars one day. What's the average grade they put a black kid in special ed?
Fourth grade.
What's the average grade level of a black inmate in America? Fourth.
Right.
Do you not see the relationship?
Right.
2 million black kids in special ed. 2 million black people in jail. Do you not see the connection?
Right.
Special ed is the pipeline in the school to prison pipeline. And all you have to do to break it is make your child read.
Right.
Every baby in here, every child at home should be reading for at least an hour every day.
Come on.
The TVs are off, the cell phones are off, the video games are off, the house is totally quiet. And they are reading for 60 minutes. If you can't do that, you can't do much. When's the last time you took your child to the public library? When's the last time you took your child into a bookstore to buy a book? And don't tell me about money, because most of my books come from a used book. You don't need the money. But the problem is we've gotten comfortable. The problem is we've gotten comfortable. Now, excuse me, family. The problem is we've gotten comfortable, brothers and sisters, not being invested in our children's education. I'm not crying. It's just a taste of African energy. When is the biggest period of vocabulary expansion for a child? 2 to 5. Between 2 to 5, your child's vocabulary will go from about 2,500 words to 25,000 words.
Wow.
But guess what the problem is in the hood? What are most black babies doing between the age of 2 and 5?
Watching TV. Right.
Cartoons. You know, him and him families. But we're not getting into that! Brothers and sisters, you have to get your child into the books. The reason the Asians are in the front isn't because they're smarter than black kids. It's because the average Asian child spends about 20 hours a week studying outside school. The average middle-class white kid spends about 12 to 15 hours a week studying outside school. The average black boy in the inner city of America spends 45 minutes a week studying outside school. And do you know why that is? Because he's going to be a football player. He don't have to study. He thinks he's going to be a basketball player. He don't have to study. Your daughter's going to be the next Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. She don't have to study.
Yeah.
And what I need y'all to understand is your child has a greater chance of being struck by lightning than becoming a professional athlete or a professional entertainer. I'm not telling you you have to kill your children's entertainment dream, but make sure they have a plan B if plan A doesn't work out.
Exactly.
Because if you don't have a plan B, if plan A don't work out, the white man got a plan C, and it's called the house of correction.
Right.
When I go into the prisons, do you know how many I almost made it basketball players are in jail? Do you know how many I almost made it football players are in jail? Do you know how many I almost made it R&B singers and actors are in jail? You don't have to kill their dream, but make sure they have a plan B to fall on if plan A falls through.
Right.
And for my black fathers, stop trying to relive your athletic dreams for your son. You had your life. Your life is over. But because you can't accept the fact you didn't make it to the NFL, your son who wants to be a farmer or a business owner or an engineer And if it was up to me, the NFL and the NBA be banned anyway, because the only people benefiting from black boys going to the NFL and NBA are white women, because they get married and get all the damn money. So if it was up to me, it'd be over. I don't need to see another Negro in the nation. Okay? I don't need to see another Charles Barkley with his white girl, Jalen Rose with his white girl, but I can be here all night. Tell you about Negroes who found the Neanderthals in their march to the professions. The next thing, parents, if your child is evaluated and you don't agree with the evaluation, you always have a right to a second opinion. This is the federal law. You're going to see it in my book, a sample letter you can give to the school when you want a second opinion. It's real simple. Principal Wartenberger. I have received my daughter Shaquita's evaluation. Your psychologist determined that she got a math disability. I don't think my daughter has a math disability. I think she's never been taught how to do math appropriately. Because when she was in the 3rd grade last year, she had a teacher who was fresh out of undergrad. I don't know if she could count herself. And in the 2nd grade, my daughter's teacher went out on maternity leave, and she had 20 substitutes from January to June. And when my baby was in the 1st grade, she had an uncertified long-term substitute who was never taught how to teach math. And on top of that, your school is on the state list of lowest achieving academic schools in the state of California. So is this really my daughter who can't learn? Or is it your teachers who can't teach?
Come on.
So I am requesting a second opinion. According to the federal special ed law, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Improvement Act of 2004, whenever a parent disagrees with the school determination for special education, they can request a second opinion. And according to the law, I get to choose the psychologist who will retest my child. Upon your approval of my request, I will provide you with the name of the psychologist I chose. So everybody in here can get a second opinion for their child, and the school district has to pay for it. All you have to do is ask for it. That's the law. But you've got to know the law in order to protect your child. And please understand, special ed is no dreamland. Special ed causes more problems than it solves because the gap between where your child is compared to the other kids in his grade will get wider the longer he stays in special ed. See, first of all, I get mad at you all because you'll put a kid in special ed for being 2 grades behind and doing the math. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want them behind 2 grade levels. But I also understand that if your child gets a tutor for math or a tutor for reading, that you can pay for out of your fingernail money or your hair money or your Jordan money. If you just get your child a tutor twice a week, 45 minutes each pop, 90 minutes a week, you can evaporate that 2 grade deficit in 6 weeks. So why is your child going to special ed for a reading problem that you can evaporate in 6 weeks? It's because you're too lazy to pay for a tutor. You want to depend on the school to get it right. And I'm telling you now, if you want to depend on the school to get it right, you'll be dependent on them until your child goes to jail. They'll never get it right. And let me also say this. Never let the teacher who miseducates your child in the day be the tutor in the afternoon.
Come on.
Listen to what I'm telling you, Oakland. Let me tell you what principals do in Oakland. They do everything. We have a Title I budget that comes from the federal government. I want y'all to know what Title I is. Title I is the Elementary and Secondary Schools Act of Lyndon Baines Johnson back in the 60s as part of his war on poverty. And guess what Title I money does? It gives millions of dollars to inner city schools that are economically disadvantaged. So the principal can do what? Improve your child's reading and math skills.
Yep.
Most kids are special ed for what? Reading and math. Yep. So wait a minute, if you have Title I money in every Oakland school for reading and math, why do you need to go to special ed? for reading and math. I'll tell you why. Because the principals aren't using the Title I money on their child.
Yep.
You know what they're doing? They're earning brownie points with their white teachers by paying them extra money every week to stay after for 2 or 3 hours to work with your struggling students. But I have a problem with that, because if your son's teacher, if she can't teach your son how to read
during the day,
from 8 in the morning
exactly,
until 3 in the afternoon,
right,
what the hell is she gonna do from 3 to 6?
right,
Are
exactly,
y'all following me?
yeah,
She's already made up her mind that boy can't read. So what is she going to do for 3 hours at the end of the day when she's tired and worn out? What's she going to do? Better than what she was doing from 8 to 3. So I'm telling you all right now, if your child is signed up for the after-school program at the local public and charter school, you better make sure it ain't the regular teacher teaching your child, because they wasted their time. And you know what they'll do with those intervention notes? They'll use it for special ed. They'll say, I gave him an extra 3 hours after school every day for 3 months, and he still can't read. Nah, sweetie, you ain't give him an extra 3 hours. You gave yourself an extra 3 hours in your paycheck. You did nothing for my son. I would go to the principal and demand you get somebody from outside the school to work with my child. You want to know why? Because that teacher can't afford for another teacher in the school to teach your child after school what she can't do during the day. So guess what she's going to do? She's going to go to the teacher's lounge, and she's going to find out who's working with that boy, and she's going to put so much negativity into that teacher's mind about your child that that teacher will never have a fair opportunity to find out if your baby can read or not. The whole thing is a sham and a scam and a setup. And I want all you parents to understand that the learning disability and ADHD are 2 of the biggest hustles ever ran on black folks. You cannot prove a learning disability. Somebody said, wait a minute, doctor, my son got an IEP for reading. Can you prove to me that that boy has a reading disability? Let me ask you another one. Can you show me where is the learning disability in your son's brain? Is it in the back? Is it in the front? Is it on the side? Where is the learning disability? Is there an x-ray where we can see it?
right,
Is there a CAT scan where we can see the reading disability? Is there an MRI where the math disability is? You can't see it because it don't exist.
exactly,
What you call a learning disability, I call a lazy disability. It's not that your son can't learn how to read. He don't want to. It's not that your daughter can't learn how to count. She don't want to. And still worse, you ain't gonna make it.
right,
If I was in charge, we wouldn't diagnose the kids, we would diagnose the parents they come from. You are that baby's problem. Oh, and don't get it twisted. You might love Dr. Umar, but a lot of parents don't. Because when I go into the meetings, I'm saying, listen here, there's nothing wrong with your son. In fact, his intelligence is at the 80th percentile. This boy is through. Well, how do you explain the fact he's struggling in school? Because he's lazy as hell, and you don't make him do no work. When the last time your son practiced? Do he even do homework? Does he even read books? Video games all day.
right,
You parents need to be ashamed of yourself. I'm trying to find out, how does a black boy in Oakland have time for 6 hours of video gaming when he fell in reading? I need y'all to help me out. Yes, sir. How he got 8 hours on a video, Grand Theft Auto. He spent 8 hours a day on the video game, and he fell in 3 classes. Because you're using the video game as a babysitter. If your child is not straight A's and B's, there should be no video game in your house.
yep,
This is why I'm building the Frederick Douglass office called the Academy.
yeah,
You know what our slogan is? Excellence is not an option. It's a requirement. You come in this came home in the 3rd grade and said, you know, Dad, I cursed my teacher out. I think I need some drugs. You know, Dad, I can't sit still in class no more. I need some rest. My father had all the prescriptions right around his waist. You know why we didn't have AD in 1970? Because we still had fathers in the home in 1970. You know why we didn't have AD in 1960? Because we still had fathers in the home in 1960. When did you get AD? 1980. Mass incarceration. They start taking the fathers out the house, leaving the mother without the support of the other parent, and then they brought the psychiatrist in to write the prescriptions. Chemical warfare against the black community. When did the CIA drop off crack? 1980. When did the school system drop off Ritalin? 1980. They started drugging the kids and the adults at the same time. Help me understand. His father's in jail for selling crack. His father is doing 10 years for selling crack. But they'll take the same crack that locked his father, call it Ritalin, Adderall, Conservative, Medicaid, Cycling. It's the same crap, different label. And they'll give it to your son in Oakland school so he can sit still long enough to learn about Helen Keller, Anne Frank, and Christopher Columbus. Why do you need medication to get an education? Why do you need medication to get an education, Oakland? It's the hustle! But you are responsible too. You want to know why? ADHD is now one of those 13 special ed leaders. So let me ask you a question. If ADHD is not a special ed leader, how did your son end up in special ed for ADHD? Remember earlier I talked about y'all talking too much and doing too much? See, the school psychologists cannot diagnose ADHD in the school. We cannot. ADHD is a mental illness. It can only be diagnosed by the clinician. So what the school do is they say, black mommy, black daddy, black grandmommy, take him down to the We Hate Black People Mental Health Center. Because you know every hood got a We Hate Black People Mental Health Center. And you take him down to the We Hate Black People Mental Health Center, and Dr. Slurbanowski diagnoses Raheem with ADHD. But guess what? You didn't have to tell the school that you had a diagnosis. The school didn't have to know. In fact, you should have took him anyway. But guess what you did, big mouth? You took the evaluation that Dr. Slurbanowski gave you at the We Hate Black People Mental Health Center, and you brought it back to the We Hate Black People Charter School, West Oakland. And once the school gets the evaluation from the clinical psychologist that says your child is ADHD or ODD or CD, we can now put them in special ed for the outside diagnosis that we would never knew about if we kept your mouth shut. See that? Any black child in special ed for ADHD is only there because their big mouth parent took an eval from outside the school and brought it inside the school. Learn how to shut up. And guess what else? Make sure you never sign a release of information form. Stay with me. There's a form called Release of Information. Every school in America has it. It's a form that asks parents to sign at the beginning of the year, giving them permission to conversate and communicate with any of your personal professional providers, the social worker, pediatrician, the therapist, the outside OT, the outside PT. Never sign a release. Well, Dr. Umar, what's wrong with signing a release so the school can talk to the pediatrician? Can I ask you a question? Why would a black parent let white people talk about your child behind your back? Does that make any sense?
No.
You never signed a release. Well, we just want to talk to the counselor and see if there's anything we can do. I'll tell you what. We can set up an interagency meeting where you and I and the counselor can sit at a table together and find out what you need to know. You and I and the pediatrician can get on a conference call and talk about what you need. But under no circumstances do you let white folks talk about your child without your knowledge. You're out of your mind. And most of you don't even know you signed the release form. Because guess what the schools do? Because they know you don't read nothing. So guess what they do? You know at the beginning of the year, you get a nice thing of permission forms to sign? Free lunch, and you'll get a bag. Check. That's right. Yeah. Early dismissal, you can pick them up. Check. Class trips. Check. If you get hurt, can you go to the nurse? Check. You got another form there, but you tired of signing, so you're not going to read it. You just won't sign it. And guess what form that was? Release of information. And the next thing you know, you find out that the school talking to the social worker, the school know everything about you, your chemical addiction, your homelessness, your bishop. How the school? You go, hey, you sign. I never signed. And then they show you the signature. Stop signing release. I will never sign a release of information. I'm not letting nobody talk about my child behind my back. If we need to have a meeting, we all want to face to face. Are y'all following me? Yeah. Protect your privacy. Also, parents, every year you need to request a complete copy of your child's academic record. This is also in my book, The Letter You Submit. Every last one of you need to get a copy of your child's academic record at the end of the school year because you don't know what the hell they got in that file. All those suspensions since kindergarten, all those pay slips, all those teacher notes. Oh yeah. All you have to do is write a letter. This is Dr. Umar Johnson. I'm requesting a complete copy of my daughter, Alisa Johnson's academic record to include all special ed, discipline, report card, standardized testing, classroom notes. Please let me know when my copy will be ready and if there's a fee associated with the request. I understand according to federal law, you have 45 days to provide me with my child's record. That's it. That's it. And why do you need that record? Because you want your son to go to a special high school in Oakland. But guess what? Did you know that boy had 3 pay slips? When the teacher exaggerated what he did, made it look like he beat up the teacher, threatened the teacher's life. And once that school looks at those pay slips, guess what they're going to do with his invitation? Tear it up. And it's your fault because if you really got to that pay slip before the new school saw it, you really got to take it off the record. Because according to federal law, a parent has a right to challenge any documentation in your child's permanent record. So let me ask you a question. 5th grade parents and 6th grade parents and 7th grade parents. Have you ever seen your child's record? You don't know what the hell is in that record. You better get a copy of it. And always get a copy of the record before you transfer your child from one school to the next. And if none of you have ever gotten a record, I recommend you send that letter in now and get it before the end of the school year. When does school get out in Oakland? Public school. What's the date? In 2 weeks. Okay, so they have 45 days. So what they could do, 14, and they got 35 more days at the beginning of the next school year. But I think the federal law, their 45 days extends into the summer. So we should put that request in all our meetings. There we go, brothers and sisters. I want to close out with the academic piece, and then I want to talk a little bit of politics before I wrap up and take some questions, and then we'll do our sign in the picture line. But this is what I want to say in conclusion. I am so sick and tired of us letting the school have their way with our children. We have to do better, brothers and sisters. We have to get organized as well. This is one of the reasons I started the National Independent Black Parent Association. And I'm hoping that some of you in here, after reading that book, care enough about the children in Oakland, whether you have any or not, to help out with our organized parents. We need an Oakland chapter of the National Independent Black Parent Association. There will be 7 committees in your chapter. One committee is called Special Ed. Their job is to investigate the special ed abuse of black children in Oakland public and charter schools. How many black kids in special ed for a reading disability in Oakland? How many black kids in special ed for a math disability in Oakland? How many black kids in special ed for autism? What about speech and language? What about intellectual disability? What about emotional disturbance? Are they getting the services that they need? Are they graduating on time? Are they dropping out? Are they even being taught by certified special ed teachers? How are the schools spending the special ed money? And when is the last time all of the black special ed parents in Oakland came together for a meeting to organize. Because you know the number one weapon used against the Negro, according to the Honorable Marcus Garvey, is disorganization. We are not organized. White folks are not beating you up because you're black. It's they're beating you up because you're disorganized. Your power lies in the group, not in yourself. But we are so self-hating as a race that we would rather leave white folks in charge than get our act together. And that's sad, brothers and sisters. That is absolutely sad. Everybody in Oakland is more organized than you. I've been seeing Chinese people all day. They must be running this joint. I'm serious. They run the hotel. They was at the airport. I got an Asian invasion. They more organized than you. The Mexicans more organized than you. The Arabs more organized than you. Why is everybody more organized than black folks? Because slavery introduced into our community a pathology of self-hatred, where black people will create any justification to not become organized. We want to fight over Muslims and Christians. We want to fight over dark skin and light skin. We want to fight over who got one African parent and who got two. We want to fight over who went to UCLA and who went to the community college. Come on, y'all. We got to be bigger than that. Pan-Africanism says we are one race, one people. I don't care if you speak Spanish or French. I don't care if you got blue eyes or green eyes. I don't care if your hair's straight and nappy. I don't care if your mama white and your daddy black or both parents black. You're still one of us.
Exactly.
If we do not kill the petty differences will kill us. And I'm not suggesting that white people are a utopian, because they're not. Jews can't stand Italians. Italians can't stand Irish. Irish can't stand the Anglo-Saxons. But when it comes time to keep black folks in their place, they can come together. The Vietnamese think they better than the North Koreans. The North Koreans think they better than the South Koreans. The Chinese think they better than all the other Asians. But when it comes to the mutual progress of the Asian race, they stop the petty differences to get their house in order. The Pakistanis can't stand the Kuwaitis. The Kuwaitis can't stand the Moroccans. Oh yes, they don't like Dubai, they don't like the UAE, but guess what? When it comes to the collective progress of Arabs, they can do a timeout on the petty differences. Everybody can take a timeout from the infighting long enough to attend to the bigger fight, except the Negro. You will burn down the whole race just to get even with one other Negro. And that is your problem. We are too emotional with each other and not emotional enough with the oppressor. We hear Negroes say, black people are our own worst enemy. No, you're not. No, you're not. I know we can be trifling, but we are not our worst enemy. You know why? Because you don't control the mass incarceration system. White folks do. You know why? You don't control the miseducation system. White folks do. You know why? You don't control the economic system that keeps half the black men in America unemployed. White folks do. This is not a system you suffer from that you control. You don't put billions of dollars into destroying black folks. You didn't invent AIDS, Ebola, West Nile, or COVID. White folks did. And let me tell you, that COVID vaccination was nothing but a population control system.
Exactly.
You mean to tell me we've been here for 400 years and white folks been experimenting on us for 400 years and you still want to go take the vaccination? Talking about some 2 rounds. Is this a damn boxing match? 2 rounds. What's your first round? Then you gotta come back and get your second round. You ask me knocked out by the second round. And help me understand. How is it a vaccination if you can still catch the disease?
Right.
And then, when they sent the first batch of the COVID test kits out, it just so happened they were tainted with the virus. And then, wait a minute. Cicely Tyson, one of our most groundbreaking black female actors, took the COVID shot.
Right.
She's with the ancestors now. Marvelous Marvin Hagler, one of the greatest black middleweight champions of all time. We learned from his friend and former adversary, Tommy Hearns, that Marvelous Marvin took the shot, got sick right after, got admitted to the hospital, and he died. What about Hank Aaron?
Right.
One of the greatest black baseball players of all time took the shot. He's with the ancestors. And then we found out from DMX's family. He took the shot. And now he's with the ancestors. How many more black folks got to die from these shots before you realize this ain't nothing but population control? And if you feel like you just gotta take the shot, go take it in a white folks neighborhood. Don't take no damn COVID shot in the ghetto. They got all kinds of germs in that damn shot. Black women, be careful with the birth control. I heard they got some new chemicals in the birth control pill. Your ovaries will fall out. I'm telling you.
Damn.
All them sisters who was taking that death row Bavaria shot, remember that back in the 80s and 90s? They had the implant. What's the one they had to implant? Neural plant and death row Bavaria. A lot of those women came down with cervical cancer and breast cancer. Playing with your hormones, you're messing with cancer. Who invented the birth control pill? Do you know that Margaret Sanger, the white woman who started Planned
Parenthood, yeah.
who's the mother of the American eugenics movement?
Right.
Her last wish before she died was the birth control pill. She died and the birth control pill was approved a few years after her death. All this was made for you. We've aborted over 3 million black babies since the 1970s.
Yeah.
I'm not judging nobody here. I'm not talking about your moral or personal decision. I'm talking about us as a people. We have to recognize that we are playing into somebody else's agenda. Do you really think they push same-sex marriage because they care about gay blacks?
Fuck no.
Do you think they care any more about a lesbian sister than a heterosexual sister?
No,
Do you think the life of a black transgender means more to these white folks than the life of a heterosexual? No! They don't like none of this. But the reason they're pushing the relationship is they want to confuse our babies. They want our boys to think about never touching a black woman.
Right.
They want our girls to think about never conceiving with a black man. That's why all the commercials on TV are either same-sex or interracial.
Right.
Why you don't see no more black-on-black couples?
Right.
Why is everything mixed? And I'm not knocking on mixed race Africa because I love you as much as I love the others. But if we want to see our race survive, we have to stop perpetuating this, have babies with other people. Because even though they're biologically African, many will be psychologically confused and loyal to the European blood.
Yes, yes.
Now, black man, I understand why the white woman is attracted to you. It's not for your sexual skill. It's because the unconscious of the white woman, being a mother, seeks to preserve life. And she knows that she has a greater chance of surviving in her species, being able to reproduce, if she gets impregnated with a melanin seed than in the recessive gene seed. So the white woman's attraction to the black man, she don't even understand it. She may hate black folks, but be attracted to the black man on a deep neurological level because it is her ancestors crying out to survive, let alone lineage. And she can only do that with a strong dose of melanin. why they are attracted to us. Yes. White girls be attracted to me. They love to be in grad school. They would bring me coffee and tea and lattes. I didn't even drink that shit. There was one white girl in the PhD program. She was built like a sister. She would come to school with the shortest mini skirt and the tallest stilettos. And every time she came to class, all the white boys, I would be sitting in the corner. Every time she walked in, all the white boys do this. They look at me like that. And she's going to hit that one because we tired of waiting. I'm not interested. I have nothing against her. But I owe it to my ancestors to stick with my own.
That's good.
And look what you got to go through. Joining somebody else. They'll be the white black folks. So they over there making jokes about black folks and you got to laugh at their jokes.
Right.
This is your kid's grandmother.
Right.
That cold cheese and mayonnaise. Can somebody help me understand how President Joe Biden is helping 13 million illegal immigrants get a work visa and an American citizenship? How the hell you can find jobs for 13 million illegal immigrants when half the black men in LA and Oakland can't even find a job? But you got jobs looking for people who's not even citizens. See, this is where I get mad at you Negroes in here who always trying to equate the black struggle with everybody else's struggle. I'm tired of it. You better stop selling out your ancestors because you got low self-esteem and want to be accepted by other people. The immigrant struggle is not the black struggle. The gay struggle is not the black struggle. The woman struggle is not the black struggle. No. No. No, no, no. I had a homosexual pointing me down in America. I thought he was about to scrap. They said, we gotta have a conversation. I said, damn, I'm out nothing. I'm trying to change this three bisexuals, homosexuals. I'm heterosexual myself. Why can't we unite, brother? Can I ask you a question? Was it ever illegal in America for a homosexual to get an education?
Nope.
Did homosexuals come to America in slave ships?
Nope.
Were homosexuals forced to build this country for 243 years without no pay?
No.
So how are we the same then?
Right.
How? The woman struggle. Black woman, you black first? All you sisters getting drafted by this feminism, you better wake up. Do you know the CIA invented feminism? If you don't believe me, go do your research. The CIA funded Gloria Steinem and produced her magazine. And why did the CIA fund feminism? Because they said in order for us to take over the minds of the children, we got to get the mothers out the house. If I'm wrong, prove it. You can't come to Dr. Umar with some old white man scam thinking I'm going to jump onto it. No! And since you're so feminist, where was all the feminist groups when Micaiah Bryant caught the 4 bullets up in Columbus?
Right.
Where was the feminists at? Where were they? Where was the feminists at when Sandra Bland got choked out in Texas? Where were they? All these black women getting killed by cops. I don't see no feminist groups. But the minute Bill Cosby get accused of sexual misconduct,
Right.
it's a feminist group on every corner.
Yeah.
The minute Deshaun Watson gets accused of sexual misconduct, it's a feminist group on every TV station. Oh, I get it. Feminism is not about women's rights.
Right.
It's about destroying black masculinity.
Right. Yeah.
They got my North Philadelphia brother Bill Cosby locked up in a Philadelphia prison. That man, 82 years old, the most successful black male television entertainer of all time. When you know it was Cosby who opened up the door for the greatest comedian of all time, Richard Pryor. And now Bill Cosby legally Need 2 people to help him go to the bathroom. 2 people to help him get a shower. 2 people to help him put his clothes on, brothers and sisters. And why? Because he couldn't leave white girls alone.
Right.
Bill Cosby ain't molesting a man, women. What woman you know gets molested or harassed by a man and contacts the man to come over for some more? And did you see the woman, Andre Constrain, the leading player? Did you see her? She had a neck like Mike Tyson. Nobody wants her. She had shoulders like LeBron. Oh, nasty thing. Nobody wants you. Deshaun Watson made the same mistake. You see half the women coming out on him? White girls. Talking about something. I came out the bathroom and he was naked on the massage table. What? People get naked massages all the time. That's what you do as a therapist. You touch naked bodies. I didn't hear nobody say he forced themselves on him. Oh, he accidentally bumped me. What? And you know what's interesting about his case? There's been no charges, but his career is done.
Right.
And you know why his career is done? Because
Accusation.
Deshaun Watson challenged white power when he told the Houston Texans he wants out. And the racist owner of the Houston Texans, who just so happens to live down the street from the lawyer representing the women, decided to destroy Deshaun Watson because saying he wanted out. This is why the black athlete, as being powerful, is a myth. They can destroy LeBron tomorrow if they don't. It's not a black athlete you know they can't destroy when they feel like it. If you made your money through white people,
Right.
you can be destroyed by white people.
Yeah.
And this is why the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, we're going to teach our young men to do for self. Start your own business. Be your own boss. There's nothing worse than a black man or woman who got to work for white folks the rest of their lives, brothers and sisters. I remember that clock. As I prepare to wrap up, because it's 4:20, I want to be done by 4:30. A few questions, and then we start signing books for the rest of our time until 8. I want to thank all my brothers and sisters from Oakland and the Bay Area, San Fran, Moran, Sydney, and other places. I want to thank you for standing by me for Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey fundraiser, despite all the lies and the slander and the character assassination and the attempts to destroy the movement, brothers and sisters. Thank you for standing by.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We got 2 schools in Wilmington, Delaware. And you need to start doing your research to find out which airlines are going to give you the best price to fly from Oakland or San Fran to the Philadelphia International Airport. Because our campus, your campus, my campus, our campus is 20 minutes away from the Philadelphia International Airport. Delaware is Philadelphia's backyard. We have the Marcus Garvey Elementary School. We have the Frederick Douglass High School. We have the Nat Turner Gymnasium. And we have a 4th building with 3 rooms in it, which is probably going to be the administrative center, or we might make it the ancestral shrine, or we might make it the weight room, or we might make it a parent visiting center. Once the school is fully renovated, it will be the largest independent black campus in the United States. And if God so desires it, I want to have the Garvey building done by the end of the summer, brothers and sisters. Late August, early September at the latest, before it gets cold. You stay warm over here, it get cold over there. I want to have the grand opening this summer. It might be August 21st. It might be September 11th. It might be September 18th. But somewhere between the end of August, early September, I'm telling you this so you can mark your calendar for it. And we're going to have the first annual Unapologetically African Festival outside of school. And we're going to have the first annual Unapologetically African Conference inside of school. So there will be workshops on natural hair, healthy living, business investing, black farming, African repatriation, so forth and so on. The conference will go for 4 days. Saturday and Sunday will be the highlights. And I want you to be there to see what we got, because those schools are beautiful, brothers and sisters. They are not old, they are modern. but we got to get the plumbing done and the electric done and the HVAC done. And as we sit right now, I think we got the HVAC and the plumbing that we finally been looking for 2 years. So all goes well, brothers and sisters. We will shock the world in just a few weeks. Keep hope alive. And I'm trying to understand all the Negroes who criticize ain't building nothing.
Right.
I'm trying to understand how grown black men can sit on YouTube all day long and make E-Bot Tuesday videos. I mean, don't get me wrong, I know I'm the ish. But my God, I couldn't sit on YouTube and make videos about another man all day. I mean, some of these men, their whole page is me. 100 videos on me. Beta males. Our sisters be alpha males. See, brother? Let me tell you something. And by the way, ladies, as I wrap up, I'm working on my sisters only with relationships and me. And hopefully when I come back to Oakland, I'm going to do my sisters only talk. Brothers, you can't beat it. This is just for the women. I got to give them some straight talk about the brothers. The sisters be getting it wrong sometimes. I'm going to give you 3 rules real quick, black women. Rule number 1, never beg a man to stay with you. That's the fastest way to get rid of him. Rule number 2, you don't have to tell him how much you respect yourself. You can feel your self-esteem through your vibration.
Exactly.
Rule number 3, don't give a man your non-negotiables if you plan on breaking them, because the quickest way to lose respect from a man is to say you don't stand for something and then stand for it. But that's going to be in the book. And brothers, I got a brothers only book coming out too. Yeah. Like number 1, stop looking for love when you still in love with that alcohol bottle.
Okay.
See, what you better realize, black man, you can cheat on your woman and it doesn't have to be with another woman. You can cheat on your woman with the marijuana sticks.
Come on.
Black man, if you got emotional abuse from your past, you need to heal it, because until you heal yourself, you'll never be able to help her heal herself. See, what we gotta understand about the black male and female relationship situation is 2 emotionally abused people cannot make a happy home. We need to understand that if you don't love yourself, nobody else can love you either. Because love is a magnetism. If you love yourself, it forces other people to love you at the level you love yourself. But if you don't love yourself, you will invite people who will only abuse you. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. See, black women, there's 4 types of men you got to stay away from. You got the pimps, you got the predators, you got the players, and you got the impregnators. Brothers, this 4 type of women you got to stay away from. You got the homicidal honey, the hopeless romantic that's hot in the pants, and the healer. But that's in the book. Brothers and sisters, as I close out, take out your phone. I'm going to give you my number. If you ever need to text out the Umar, you can reach me directly. I'm going to give my number 3 times. 215-989-9858. Again, 215-989-9858. For brother Bakari and sister Tisha, I got the iPads in that duffel bag. You got it out? You got it, Musha? Okay. So for the books, if you want to use Cash App, credit card, cash, you can do that. Phone number 215-989-9858. Also, Brother Al, one of those boxes is probably the lightest box. It has bookmarks in it. Okay. Find the light box, take the bookmarks out, because there's supposed to be a bookmark in every book. Because the bookmark has all our contact information. Right? So make sure you got to get a bookmark with your book. It has all the contact information and the school donor information. One more time for my special ed parents. 215-989. I love you. 985. But let me be honest, listen, before you get married, if you need me to give you a potential mate, an intelligence test to make sure they knew it was working, you can pay me $300, you better get that IQ test. Before I get married, I got to get my wife to be an IQ test. What is normal IQ? Normal intelligence is 90 to 109. That's average. 80 to 89, low average, still not a concern because it's a white man's test. 70 to 79, you need to get a little concerned. And if that IQ under 70, baby, you better know that things are not going to be as they appear. There is a place for intelligence testing before you get married. Okay? Brothers and sisters, we will not be going to Africa this summer because of the COVID. I will be resuming the Africa trip next year. We're also working on a Jamaica trip. For those of you who've never been, or those of you who may have been to Jamaica at a party, you're just coming to learn about the great culture of the Rastafari, the Nayabini, the 12 tribe, and the Bobo Shanks. We want to visit the grave of Marcus Garvey, the home of the Honorable Marcus Garvey, the UNIA original headquarters. We want to visit the trail of Sam Sharp and Paul Bogle and all those great African revolutionaries of Jamaica who fought the white man. And we want to go up to Queen Nanny Falls where Queen Nanny, a black woman, beat the European army and was so effective as a military tactician that they had to sign a treaty with her. And you'll get a chance to go up in the mountains of Moortown where she moved to get into the water where she used to meditate before they would get out. And then we're going to do some of that good Jamaican seafood. And you're going to get into one of those natural hot Jamaican baths. And we're going to go party too. And if you just need a little bit of chronic in your life, we want to do some of that as well. So I want to start hitting up the Caribbean a little bit. Still going to do Africa, hit up the Caribbean a little bit. Also want to let y'all know if you got children, I will be resuming the Black Consciousness and College Tour. I might get one in this summer, so just stay in touch with Dr. Umar if you have a son or daughter 11 and 17. That means you would have to fly them to Philadelphia. We can pick them up. You can put them on the bus. That'll already take a couple days. You have to fly them to Philly. We'll meet them at the airport. 2-week tour. You go to Nat Turner's house, Harriet Tubman's grave, Frederick Douglass' home, Benjamin Banneker home. We go to Morgan, Compton, Howard, Cheney, Lincoln, Delaware State University, Maryland Eastern Shore, Hampton University, Virginia State University. We go to the Great Blacks and Wax Museum, the Smithsonian National African American Museum, the Fred Douglass Frank Merriweather Maritime Museum. It's a college tour, but it's consciousness too. And we take them to both Great Adventures and Dorney Park and the beach. They're going to have a whole lot of fun. And if any of you want to be a chaperone, I can't promise you, but you can say, Doc, my son coming, my daughter coming, I wouldn't mind being a chaperone. We do need some chaperones, but ladies, I'm telling you right now, you can't be a chaperone if you ain't got natural hair. It's unapologetically African happy to be happy.
Come on. Yes, yes.
And if you want to work at the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, you gotta be happy to be nappy.
Come on. Come on.
If you want to send your resume to the school, Oakland, the email address, and it should be on your book, on the book card, the bookmark, FDMG resumes with an S plural, FDMG resumes @gmail.com. Yes, we need math, we need language, we need science, we need social studies, but we also need people who can speak African language. We also need sisters who do natural hair. We need brothers who can train our voice in African martial arts. We need brothers and sisters who can train in the use of guns because there will be a Marcus Garvey Junior Gun Club inside of the first gun farm in school. We want to have a farm. We want to have a horse stable. Oh yes. Oh yes. If you know how to make documentary videos, we can hire you to come teach the boys how to make their own documentary video. If you know how to set up radio stations, we want to have a low-watt campus radio station. We want the kids to get experience in black journalism. The question is not whether you're a certified teacher. Throw it out your head. We're not looking for certified teachers. We're looking for black men who have something to teach. If you know how to sew, come teach them how to sew. You into robotics? Come show them. You do cartoon art? Come teach them. You can do it as a volunteer, you can do it as a full-time teacher, or you can do it as an adjunct when you come to the campus 3 or 4 times a year. and teach your trade. It's something for everybody, but you cannot work at my school if you are sleeping, married to, cohabitating, or making babies with aliens. No alien lovers are allowed at my school.
All right.
Oakland, I will close. I love my people and we cannot quit. We will win. I know it's tough. I know we're down on one knee, but keep the faith. If God was done with black people, He still wouldn't let us make babies. Every time you see a new African baby, that's a message from God that we still got a chance to get it right. So let's get it right. Don't ever be ashamed of being black. Don't ever be sorry for being an African. Don't ever drop your head for nobody. We did it before. We will do it again. President Douglas said, my parting quote from Frederick Douglass, my family was brought to America in 1701. A black man by the name of Bailey stole from the Igbo nation of Nigeria, most likely according to the research. He was brought to Talbot County, Eastern Shore, Maryland. He married a black woman named Selah, for whom my 9-year-old daughter, Torrance Taylor, was named. In 1745, they had Grandma Jenny. In 1774, Grandma Jenny gave birth to Grandma Betsy. Grandma Betsy was born a slave in Talbot County, Maryland, but she married a free black man, my 6 times great-grandfather, Grandpa Stephen Miller. Grandpa and Grandma had 12 children. One daughter was named Harriet, another daughter was named Betsy. These 2 sisters, one of whom was my 5 times great-grandmother, was raped by the white man who owned our family. As a result of that rape, in February of 1818, Aunt Harriet gave birth to the greatest black leader in American history. His name was Frederick Augustus Washington Bailey. At the age of 20, Cousin Frederick ran away from slavery, and he changed his name from Fred Bailey to Fred Douglass to hide his identity. Well, 1 year after he was born, his half-brother and first cousin, my 5 times great-grandfather, Stephen Henry Bailey, was born. They were brothers because the slave master raped their mother, but they were cousins because the mothers were sisters. Grandpa Stephen didn't get a chance to run away like Cousin Fred. He married an enslaved black woman, my grandma Caroline, who didn't learn how to read or write till 1909, the year the NAACP was founded. Grandpa Stephen and Grandma Caroline gave birth to my 3 times great-grandfather, George Washington Bailey, the first black public school teacher in Dayton, Maryland. He was born November 14, 1841, 10 years after the Napoleon War. So in 1861, the Civil War starts. Frederick Douglass doesn't fight, but he sends 2 of his sons, Louis and Charles. They go north to Boston. They enroll in the Boston, Massachusetts 54th Colored Regiment. If you've ever seen the movie Glory, Denzel and Morgan Freeman, that's the story of my cousins, Charles Douglas, and I'm all over the place right now. Charles Douglas, Stephen Douglas, and Fred Jr., Charles Douglas. I got FBG so much in my mind, I forget my cousin's first name. But 2 of the sons of Frederick Douglass go to Boston. My grandfather, Stephen, and his son, my grandpa, George, they go to the United States Colored Troops of Maryland. One of them fights in the 19th Regiment. The other one fights in the 9th Regiment. Do you know what that means? That means my grandfathers were in Virginia when General Robert E. Lee surrendered to the Union. And let me be clear, Abraham Lincoln did not free the slaves.
Come on.
The slaves freed Abraham Lincoln.
Come on.
And the slaves should have kept on fighting instead of giving them guns up. That's one of the biggest mistakes black people did. When we beat the Confederacy for the Union, we should have turned around and beat the Union. This might be the United States of Africa right now, and I don't know. Brothers and sisters, after the Civil War is over, Grandpa George marries Grandma Amy. They have Grandma Caroline. She moves to Philadelphia. She has Grandma Vivian. Grandma Vivian marries a Spanish-speaking Cuban immigrant. My great-grandfather's sister went from Cuba. They have my grandmother, Ivy Johnson, who just died a few years ago, went to the ancestors. She married James Johnson. She has her son Jamal. He meets my mother, Barbara, and on August the 21st, the anniversary of the Haitian Revolution. August the 21st, the anniversary of the Nat Turner War. August the 21st, the anniversary of George Jackson's War with St. Queen. August the 21st, the anniversary of the Fugitive Slave Convention. Umar Johnson was born in North Carolina. Brothers and sisters, religion is good, but teach our kids who they are. President Douglas said, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. Lewis and Charles Douglas just came to me. If there is no struggle, there is no progress. Those who profess the faith of freedom and deprecate agitation are like men who want crops without pulling up the ground. They want the rain but can't stand the thunder or the lightning. They want the ocean but they're scared of the awful roar of the water. Frederick Douglass said, for 20 years, I prayed on my knees to God for freedom. But the good Lord gave me no freedom till I got up off my knees and prayed with my feet. He said, if you want respect from white people, why do you look for pity? The man who pities you will never respect you. The man who respects you has no need for pity. Frederick Douglass said, a man may not get all you work for in this world, but you will work for all that you get. Right. And if we are ever to be free from the injustices imposed upon us, we must pay for their freedom with blood, with blows, or with words. But if there is no struggle, there is no progress. The most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, who gave us the red, black, and green flag, said, without confidence in yourself, you are twice defeated in the race of life. Right. With confidence, you have won even before you have started. Queen Mother Harriet Tubman said, I freed hundreds of slaves. Could have freed thousands had they only known that they were slaves. Oakland, California, I love you.